First, you get Google mocking Johnny Ive in a Pixel 5a ad about the headphone jack, and now you get this. Because yes, it looks like Google actually wants its Pixel 6 to compete with the iPhone, even with the phone's release date. And, well, speaking of that, new reports hint to the iPhone 13 series and the fact that apparently it'll bring some connectivity that we discussed years ago. And if you're interested in the Apple Watch Series 7, you technically can get your hands on it right now. Sort of. I'm Jaime Rivera, and seriously, could this be the day when people actually buy as many pixels as they claim on social media? This is Pocketnow Daily. The official news today begin with wearables, because why not? And yes, don't worry, for those of you that are interested in deals, those are all in the description if that's your jam. So yeah, there's been some sort of drought when it comes to Android wearables as of late, mainly because, well, Google transitioned to their collaboration with Samsung. But if you were waiting for something a bit more mainstream, we finally get Fossil's Gen 6 series with a catch. This new smartwatch brings a 1.28-inch display, 1 gig of RAM, 8 gigs of storage, and what makes it special is that it's powered by the new Qualcomm Snapdragon Wear 4100 Plus, which was announced last year, but it should be very efficient and still new enough given the structure it was built on. Now, Qualcomm is promising 85% higher performance and 25% reduced power consumption when compared to the previous generation. It brings 3 buttons on the right side and a rotating dial for controls. What's the catch? Well, apparently we can expect only 24 hours of battery life based on usage, which is nothing to be proud of to even mention. But there is an extended mode, and also 30 minutes of a charge will get you 80% battery. So yeah, you can wear it during the day and at night, and then you can charge it while you shower, theoretically. We're also getting updated sensors that support sleep and blood oxygen tracking. The Fossil Gen 6 is available in 42mm and 44mm variants, and will start at $299, and you can pre-order it right now, and it's slated to ship at the end of September. Now, theoretically, yes, it will support the new WearOS, but it seems you're going to have to wait for that until 2022, which is odd. Now, speaking of wearables, let's shift gears like a watch onto Apple and the Apple Watch Series 7. I'm sorry, I'm reading the script and Diego's puns are just terrible. But according to most leaks, including the 2 that we have today, it looks like we're in for somewhat of a major upgrade this year, starting with the display. Mark Gurman's latest newsletter claims that Apple is set to include a new set of watch faces that'll take advantage of the larger display. And of course, the major leak here isn't really that, but the fact that he's further confirming that we'll be getting a larger 41mm and 45mm variants. Now, moving on, he also claims that we shouldn't expect any new health features, and that Cupertino will be focusing on the faster processor and a slightly larger display. Apparently, the next health upgrades are coming until next year, where we might see the body temperature sensor. And since we're focusing on design, like what happened with the AirPods a few months ago, sort of, we have a new Chinese clone of the Apple Watch Series 7 that were already based on the leaked renders we got a few months ago. Now, John Prosser does claim that the footprint isn't really accurate, but that these clones pretty much confirm that we're getting a square design with a larger display. Other than that, the digital crown is still here along with the side button, so no surprises on that front. And I just hope that John is right about how thin it is, because the clones are actually the opposite. And since we're on the topic of Apple products that we're getting in the next couple of weeks, let's talk iPhones. We have a new report from Ming-Chi Kuo on a feature that we had sort of heard about but a while ago. I mean, on his latest research note, he claims that the iPhone 13 will feature low Earth orbit satellite communication connectivity. Now, going back to English, this means that the user would be able to make calls and send messages in areas that have no 4G or 5G coverage. This would be possible thanks to a customized version of Qualcomm's X60 chip, which already supports satellite communication, but which no other companies are really considering implementing until probably next year, it seems. If you remember, Mark Gurman actually reported on the existence of a team working on this back in 2019, explaining that Cupertino was looking into new ways to beam data like internet connectivity to other iPhones in case they ran out of signal. Now, Kuo is comparing the LEO communications to millimeter wave 5G in terms of the impact in the network industry and mentions that Apple is very optimistic on this upcoming trend of satellite communications. However, there's also contradicting reports that claim that this isn't really new type of technology and will only be support for another radio band that was previously assigned to satellites and will now be used for 4G and 5G. Again, we're just a few weeks away, and you know Apple, they'll say that they invented satellite communication and are bringing it to the iPhone. I mean, because that's just the way they do things. And finally, for the hottest news today, let's talk about Google and their plans for the Google Pixel 6 rollout, since it gets kind of controversial. So, last Friday we covered some leaks that claimed that Apple might be holding their event for the iPhone 13 series on September 14th, with pre-orders going live on the 17th and the device hitting stores on the 24th. Now we have a new Weibo post from a tipster that goes by the name of Panda, where he's showing us some alleged launch dates for a ton of new devices that we can expect this year. Well, if his information is correct, Google would have their overseas press conference on September 13th, which is one day before the slated date of Cupertino's event. And one thing to note here is that the date for the iPhone event is listed as September 15th, which might be due to the different time zones, considering that Apple hosts their events in the morning Pacific. That said, it could also mean that Google could be launching their Pixel on the 12th, so we're not exactly sure. So just as a quick recap, Google officially previewed the Pixel series last month. We're getting a vanilla model along with a Pixel 6 Pro, both powered by their custom Tensor SoC, which will be reportedly built by Samsung. We can expect 5G capabilities, a triple camera array, new displays, and your typical flagship specifications, but with a premium price tag this time around. Google was pretty vague on the capabilities of the smartphone when it came to features like the camera and what this Tensor chip will be able to do, so their event is still pretty necessary if you ask me. So, if the Pixel is set to launch a day before the iPhone 13, and then you get the iPhone 13, I mean, which one would you pick? Because in my case, it's a tough pick. Well, I have to pick both and test them out and see what they're out and what they're doing. It's just, we have seen Google fumble so much with their Pixel lineup that I would just go for the old reliable, which would be the iPhone. But then that's just me. I would love to know what you think in the comments. Friends, again, if you want to get the news earlier, follow us on Pocketnow.com and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this one. You can also follow us on social media, so our extended coverage happens on Instagram, and follow me on my personal handles to see me debate the reality of the Pixels. Please give this video a thumbs up if you like what you saw. I'm Jaime Rivera. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.